On May 31st, at around 1:52 a.m. in the morning, our patrol officers responded to 142 Fage Ave regarding a shots fired complaint. Upon their arrival, we found Mr. Arthur Bullock, 54 years of age, suffering from a gunshot wound to the head. He was rushed to University Hospital where he was pronounced dead. An investigation was launched, and it was discovered through witnesses and other victims' interviews that Mr. Bullock was shot during the course of a robbery. When confronted by the suspect, Mr. Bullock engaged him and a physical altercation occurred. During this altercation, Mr. Bullock was shot once in the head. On May 31st, a lengthy investigation ensued in which several witnesses were spoken to. Through cooperation of the witnesses, just as the mayor has said, a suspect was identified. This suspect is Lynquan Kellum. Lynquan, I'll spell Lynnquankellam. Lynquan Kellum, 26 years of age. On July 8th, yesterday, Mr. Lynquan Kellum was taken into custody by the Syracuse Police Department on Milton Avenue in the village of Salve. He had just gotten off a bus and was standing on the corner, and he was taken to the public safety building, and he has been charged with murder in the second degree, criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, and he is now lodged at the Justice Center. Lynquan is not on probation or parole, and right now our investigation is very active and ongoing, and we're asking at this time if there's any additional witnesses that are out there, whether you were present at the time or whether you overheard something that you think may not be of importance to us. We're still interested in it. Yes, we have arrested Lynquan Kellum for the murder of Mr. Arthur Bullock. However, our investigation is still ongoing. We're certainly looking to shore up our case so that we can do the right thing by Mr. Bullock and make sure that Mr. Kellum is sent off to prison where he deserves. We'll take your question.
Chief, do you believe that anyone else was involved in this?
There's nothing to indicate right now, right now in our investigation that anyone else was involved. You mean in terms of suspects, right? No, there's nothing that leads us to believe that anyone else was involved. What we have right now from physical evidence and witness and other victims, Lynquan Kellum was acting alone that night.
Any motives?
Robbery.
Do we know if they knew each other, Bullock and?
We don't know if they knew each other. It doesn't appear as though they knew each other. There's nothing to indicate to us right now that they knew each other.
Was there anybody else inside the home at the time of the armed robbery, the shooting?
There were, yes. There were other people present on the porch, and there was people present inside the home during that time, yes.
You mentioned other victims. Is it believed that Mr. Kellum either was involved in other robberies or other attacks?
I say other victims. Lynquan Kellum was in the process of robbing two people on the porch of 142 Fage Ave. Mr. Bullock exited his home, 142 Fage Ave, and stepped out onto the porch, and that's when he was confronted by Lynquan Kellum, and that's where the struggle ensued between the two of them, and during the course of this struggle, that's when Lynquan Kellum shot Mr. Arthur Bullock.
Did he manage to take anything?
That's unclear at this point. But
Police have been handling a number of homicides in the city in recent weeks. This is a little bit, it sounds like it's a little bit different than some of the other ones that we've had, but can you talk a little bit about just any frustration that officers might be feeling as far as trying to curb this kind of thing from happening?
Frustration. You know, anytime a human life is lost, certainly that affects all of us in some way. However, you all pay us to be professionals. You all pay us to do this job, and we can't afford to get frustrated. We have a job to do. We have a responsibility and an obligation to the public to bring closure to these types of investigations. So when you talk about frustrations, we don't have the time or energy to become frustrated, because we have a tremendous task ahead of us in solving these types of crimes and more importantly, preventing these types of crimes.
I would just like to add to that, in terms of crimes, there's really a two-prong approach. There's prevention and there's enforcement. And what we're here today is to talk about enforcement in this case, that we have taken a criminal off the streets. We can talk about prevention and many of the things that the city, along with the county and the school district, are doing to try to keep people safe, to make sure that people have options so that they have other things to do or think about before they decide to make a bad decision. That being the case, you will find that, as Chief Fowler said, every lost life is a tragedy. But what we're here to do in this role is to say to the public, we are solving those crimes and we are taking those people off the streets.
At this residence, was there, more than one apartment, or what was the situation?
It's a single family residence. So.
Okay. Was there any indication that Mr. Bullock stepped out to intervene?
He didn't step out to intervene. In fact, when he stepped out onto the porch, he was surprised to find Mr. Kellum there armed and in the act of robbing two people on the porch.
Any relation to him, or those people on the porch?
No, they were just friends.
If you believe that Kellum acted alone, then why still seek out the public's help? What else are you looking for? When
there's a case like this, you want any and all evidence and information that you can come up with. This is a very serious crime. A man's life was lost here, so we have an obligation to find any and all evidence, information, witnesses' accounts of the incident, so that we can make sure that we've put together the best case that we possibly can to make sure that Mr. Kellum is now convicted, because we move on to the next stage of this, which is the prosecution stage.
Do you know what kind of weapon? We know he was shot, but what type of gun was used?
A handgun.
It was a handgun.
And can you also, again, just highlight the importance of witness cooperation and getting help from the community to solve these type of cases?
Well, it's extremely important, citizens' cooperation in this case. When you look at all the types of science that has been developed over the years, DNA, there's no better form of evidence than that of a human form. You can certainly collect a projectile at a scene, a blood stain, and analyze it, but that projectile can't come into a courtroom and sit in a jury box and tell us what occurred. So it's extremely important. The police are not there when the crime occurs, but witnesses are. The people that live in the neighborhood are, and they can tell the story. And that's, from my perspective, as law enforcement. And from a different perspective, this sends a message to people who would consider committing a crime like this in a neighborhood again. If you know that you're walking into a neighborhood where people live and you're going to commit a crime, and you know that everyone in that neighborhood is going to pick up the phone and call the police and let the police know what they witnessed, what they heard, then a person that's considering committing a crime is going to be reluctant to do it in that particular neighborhood. So it's extremely important that we have citizens' cooperation, both for solving a crime and both for preventing a crime.
Were Mr. Bullock's friends just over visiting?
Yes, that's what friends tend to do. They happen to be there, and this person decides to come up and rob them.
This theme of randomness, after a while, we're hearing random acts, people being attacked. Is this another random act, do you think?
This is a robbery, and yeah, he targeted this group of people. It's almost 2 a.m. in the morning, and whether Mr. Kellum knew that they would be there at that time, or he just happened to come through, there at that time he chose them to rob. And when you talk about randomness, please, I just want to make sure that it's clear that every day in the city of Syracuse, people are not being robbed, shot, and killed. That's not what's occurring in our city. We do periodically, just like every place else in urban America, we have crimes like this that occur. And fortunately, here in the city of Syracuse, you have a group of police officers that's going to go out there and work tirelessly to bring these people into custody that commits these type of crimes.
Is there something that people should be more cognizant this time of year? Maybe not staying out as late on the porch?
No. Listen, people should stay out on their porch all night if they want to. People should play in their yards, do whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it, how they want to do it, as long and then they should feel safe in doing so. No one has the right to come and do anything to any of our citizens in our community. And if someone does, this is just like Mr. Kellum decided he's going to rob Mr. Bullock and his friends that night, then those people are going to end up just where Mr. Kellum's going to end up in jail. So no, our citizens should enjoy our city in any way that they see fit. We encourage them to do just that.